Greetings, my scattered brothers and sisters in the Lord. Trust you know the Lord is with you wherever you find yourself scattered today, and that you know that his presence with you is more than enough for whatever you might face today. Well, as you can see, I'm back on campus. Classes have started, and I'm figuring out a new routine. But back to 1 Kings chapter 17. We're going to wrap 17 up today. And I'll go ahead and pick it up at verse 22. Well, maybe back to 19. "Give me your son," Elijah replied to the widow. He took him from her arms, carried him to the upper rooms where he was staying, and laid him on his bed. Then he cried out to the Lord, "O Lord my God, have you brought tragedy also upon this widow I am staying with by causing her son to die?" Then he stretched himself out on the boy 3 times and cried to the Lord, "O Lord my God, let this boy's life return to him." The Lord heard Elijah's cry, and the boy's life returned to him, and he lived. Elijah picked up the child and carried him down from the room into the house. He gave him to his mother and said, "Look, your son is alive." Then the woman said to Elijah, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord from your mouth is the truth." Just thinking about the woman's last words there to Elijah. "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in your mouth is true." I think about the journey that this widow has had. When Elijah first showed up and asked for water and then for bread, and she said that she didn't have any bread, that she just had a little bit of flour and oil, and she was going to make a meal for her and her son, and then they were going to die. And Elijah told her, "Don't be afraid, don't fear, go ahead and make the meal, but first make me some bread." And she did. And then we get the word that the jar of flour, the jug of oil, did not run dry. The jar didn't become empty, according to the word of the Lord spoken through Elijah. And now we get this line. The woman says, "Now I know that you're a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in your mouth is true." Why did she know that? Because he raised her son from death to life. And so I see her faith growing, that she goes from believing into deeper believing. That initially she heard those words, "Do not fear," and she believed. And she made Elijah bread first before she cooked for her son and herself. And she discovered that Elijah spoke the truth. The jar of flour never became empty. The jug of oil didn't run dry. But now her son has died, and she comes to Elijah and wondering what God is doing to her. Is God paying her back for some type of sin that she committed? And Elijah took her son and stretched himself out over her son, cried out to the Lord, and the Lord heard his cry and brought life into the boy, resurrected, and Elijah gave him back to his mom. And now she says with even deeper faith, "Now I know that you are a man of God, and that the word of the Lord in your mouth is true." Then she went from faith to faith to faith, deeper and deeper faith in Elijah and in the Lord. I think about that, especially in terms of Jesus and the reaction of the disciples to Jesus, that there were times along the way where the disciples were doubting. And they had to learn to put their faith in Jesus, to trust him. And Jesus came through, whatever it might be, the feeding of the 5,000, walking on the water, calming the storm. But the disciples, day by day, had a growing faith. And then Jesus was crucified, and their faith was crushed. But then Jesus was resurrected, and Jesus appeared to them. And it's like all of a sudden, they really believed. Like they got it, like they'd never gotten it before. Believed like they'd never believed before. When the risen Jesus showed up to doubting Thomas, Thomas exclaimed, "My Lord and my God." Thomas had believed before, but the crucifixion kind of just crushed his faith. But then the resurrection, he believed all the more deeply. I think about that in our lives. We have these moments where we believe, and we believe on the basis of what we have seen God do. We believe on the basis of maybe what we've heard, the Spirit talking to us, what we've seen in others, but we believe. And then we can go through some faith-crushing moments, whether it's the death of a loved one, something being taken from us, hard times that we're going through, but we can go through some pretty faith-crushing moments. But then we discover that God is not crushed. We discover the resurrection power of Jesus, and we move into a deeper faith. And I trust and pray that you are on that deepening faith journey, and that the resurrection, that's the ultimate evidence that Jesus is the Son of God, that he's the Messiah. But like those disciples, like the woman, the widow, our faith has to grow. And it grows through kind of those faith-crushing moments where we realize, oh, wait a minute, Jesus isn't crushed, God's not crushed, and we see that the power of Jesus to give life. And then we come to that moment where we say, now I know, Jesus, that you are Savior, that you are Lord, that you are risen, and that you speak truth. And so wherever you're scattered today, my prayer is that in those faith-crushing moments, you discover, I discover, that Jesus does indeed speak truth, and that he is the Son of God, and that he is risen, and that he is our hope and our salvation. God bless. Have a faith-growing day.